Ponies of the Vault of Lunaverse. Next chapter. Dizzy hadn't planned to freeze in place once he entered the hotel's great dining hall, but her body made the decision for her. The flickering torches and the walls only provided dim illumination. It was enough to make out the ornate moldings that ran along the walls, rising up at least to the point where they had vanished in shadow. The table was an ancient thing with clawed feet on its legs, and gems inset at various points. They gave the torchlight rise, and Jessie saw a few pieces of silverware, so he realized there were no two alike. All seemed to be placed with precious metals, and none looked like they were the right size for her hooves. The room's combination of sheer luxury and pointed unwelcomeness was unnerving, Ditsy thought, as if a king and his entourage were the real intended guests, and the elements were just interlopers. She had only a few minutes to think about this before her gaze was drawn to the far end of the table, the only place in the room where the torches blazed brightly, to fall upon the faint smile of the second most powerful mayor in Equestria. Fly-Stream Poussin sat at the table as if it were her own, her poise relaxed just enough to demonstrate comfort, yet not so much as to even hint at impropriety. She wore a long, flowing dress that was studded with emeralds, and a large ruby dangled from her silver chain around her neck. "Elements," she said, picking up a jeweled goblet without looking at it, tilting her head so her silvering hair seemed to glimmer in the torchlight. "Welcome." Titi realized that most of the other elements stopped with her, though Trixie and Charlie had got into their room before pausing to look around. Trixie recovered first. "Viceroy," she said, bowing low. But lately, Ditsy followed suit along with the others, only rising after several seconds had passed. "You honor us with your presence." "The honor is mine, Dame Trixie," said Poussance. "It's not every day that one gets to meet genuine national heroes, even one of my position." She nodded the torches. "Do forgive the limited lighting. This hotel is built, as you know, to host trade delegations and merchant caravans traveling between Equestria and our northern neighbors. The common rooms were built quite large, but with so few of us, I felt that perhaps a more intimate setting would be appropriate. However, if you prefer more torches, that could be arranged." Trixie glanced at the others before saying, "It's fine." She wasn't thrilled with it. Ditsy could tell. But presumably asking for Poussance to change the line conditions would be some kind of faux pas. "We don't mind it." "Excellent." Poussance nodded, her smile expanding slightly. "Now please, introduce me to your friends, Dame Trixie." "Of course." Trixie swept a hoof back at the others. "Viceroy, these are my fellow knights of the realm. This is Dame Lyra Heartstrings." Lyra trotted forwards, smiling brightly, and almost threw herself down to another bow. She was the first graduate of Luna's Magic Academy, the dual major in both magic and music. She studied under the mayor, who is now Luna's court musician, Dame Carrot Top. Carrot Top shuffled a few steps and bowed again, was substantially less poised than Lyra, who placed third in her Rottingham Farm competition, and had unparalleled honor of serving you personally last year. Dame Charlie, we've met," said Charlie, lowering her head just barely enough to qualify as a bow. Trixie saw her glare. "Ahem! Yes, it's Dame Raindrops, Ponyville's strongest weather mare, and Dame Ditsy too, Ponyville's most reliable mail mare." Ditsy bowed again, wishing she knew how long to remain kneeling before Viceroy. The etiquette lesson Charlie had drilled into them hadn't quite covered such minutiae. Then, she finally had a chance of getting up. She saw that Trixie had half turned, so she was sat facing her friends, without presenting her back to the elder Pegasus. "Oh, my fellow knights, please allow me to introduce you to our host, Viceroy Poussance Obleskolos." Ditsy took a step towards the table, and then Trixie kept going. "By the grace of Luna Viceroy of Kafurlong Apolimo, and her other realms and fiefdoms," she started before adding, Ponderosa of the Air Forces of Her Royal Majesty, the Great Cross of the Auspicious Order of Firefly and Medley, Honorary Companion of Honor with the Collar of the National Order of Merit, Great Cross of Special Class of the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Friedrich, Honorary Condamenta of the Order of Social Cavella. My, she's a big one! The speech continued for close to 10 full minutes, moving from other major titles and awards to those less significant. Ditsy glanced at Poussance to see if she was some kind of joke. Instead, Poussance was sitting still, her face in a pensive expression, as if she was evaluating every word. Trixie, meanwhile, spoke in a clear and rehearsed tone, as if this was an expected ritual, which, for all Ditsy knew, it was. To her side, she heard Raindrop's stomach grumble, but she managed to keep the smile off her face. She doubted that either Trixie or Poussance would appreciate her eruption. And bearer of 37 Platinum Wand Awards for financial contributions towards Princess Luna's Academy of Magic. Trixie. She sounded faintly out of breath. Ditsy was impressed he had managed to memorize Poussance's long list of titles. After a long moment, Trixie managed to get herself turned around again and bowed one last time to Poussance. My serene, only my companions and I be seated. Of course, said Poussance, begging them forwards. And thank you for making such a thorough introduction, dame. Though I do see that the news of my being awarded the title of Honorary Lady of Quedlinburg hasn't quite made it to all of Equestria yet. She smiled bemusingly. It's really a lovely little town in Friedrich. Just a few miles north of the equestrian border, and when I heard of financial shortfall, I decided to lend a hoof. Well, they were very grateful, and she waved a wing. Oh, do listen to me, Patron. I wouldn't want to bore you with all the mere stories. Trixie blushed a faint red. I apologize, Vicerine. I had not heard yet of your last title. Quedlinburg, mused Shirley. Doesn't that town have less than 1,000 ponies? It may be small, said Poussance, her voice now holding a slight edge. But it holds beauty on its own, all the same. Shirley nodded. Of course. But what I meant, actually, was that in Friedrich, towns and cities don't have a lord of leading them unless they have at least 2,500 residents. She smiled innocently. But I'm sure it's very nice of them to make up a new position for you. Poussance opened her mouth to say something, but Ditsy quickly interjected. Thank you for dining with us, Vicerine, she said, adopting the calming tone she sometimes used when Dinky was upset. We all appreciate it. She caught Shirley's eye. Don't we? Though she seemed like she wanted to press the point, Shirley backed down under Ditsy's gaze. Yes, she said, we are. Ditsy turned back to Poussance and was relieved to see that her faint smile had returned. Thank you, Dame Ditsy, she said. I appreciate that. She flicked the wings slightly, and one of the shadows in the back of the wall detached itself from the wall and approached. Ditsy blinked in astonishment to see it was a camel. She had never met one before in her entire life. As he approached, Poussance said, Speaking of dining, I believe supper should be arriving in a few minutes. Wait, said Trixie, stopping the camel. Isn't Ice Heart supposed to be joining us? Poussance settled back in her stool. Ice Heart is shy around strangers, she said at last. He ought to eat early tonight. I remonstrated him with the knife, but I'm sure you know how foes are. So different, she smiled wistfully. In any event, I see no reason to push him, and I'm sure you won't mind if I introduce you later during our stay. Ditsy bent over to sip at the jeweled goblet full of mineral water. But at that comment, she looked up and caught the gaze of the other knights. They all seemed to have an expression, a wary one. But Vicerine, Ditsy began, I was under the impression we would be protecting this foal, if you don't know what he looks like. You will, said Poussance. Long before any meeting between him and his long-absent father. But for tonight, he indicated he would prefer to remain with his current friends, and so very well behave on the flight here, I decided to let him. She smiled. Contrary to popular belief, I do try to allow my children to reward some freedom. Bullshit! It sounded like a joke, Ditsy. but not one that Poussin's expected anyone to laugh at. Poussin waved her wing, and the camel approached. "Now, would any of you would like wine with your amuse-bouche?" The meal was one of the best Ditsy had ever eaten. Superb ingredients, sublime cooking technique, and each dish paired with the most delicious wines to be found anywhere. But she found it difficult to focus on the food. It wasn't just a dinner talk. It was mostly resolved to Poussin's asking Trixie her opinion of various political matters, in a tone indicating Luna had somewhat emphatically put her up to it. Rather, it was the absent Ice Heart, and also the presence of his mysterious friends, who decided to travel with him as he approached the mysterious terror pony legend. Ditsy knew that her friends would accompany her if she were for some reason bound to meet a Wendigo, but they were a special case. Poussin wasn't telling them something. In the dessert course, slices of chocolate bakumanchen cake and clear away, Poussin rose. "We'll leave for the Wendigo 2 hours after sunrise tomorrow," she said. "It should take us no more than 45 minutes to reach it, as far as the saddleboats were able to determine. The Wendigo can only communicate us via images. We're not sure if we can understand our own language in response, so Dame Trixie, you'll be responsible for creating illusions and images to convey our messages to the Wendigo. Additionally, should the Wendigo turn hostile, I trust you are ready to use your elements." She paused. "Princess Luna has allotted us 2 days within which to attempt to negotiate with the Wendigo. If at the end of that period, in my sole determination, it is not safe for Ice Heart to see his father, we will leave. And if the Wendigo pursues, you are driven off. Otherwise, when we bring Ice Heart to see the Wendigo, you will protect him. Do you have any questions?" Ditsy raised a hoof. "In your sole determination?" she repeated. "Yes. As the highest ranking representative of Luna's will and reason, it is my responsibility to assure the safety of the citizens as far as I am able. And furthermore, as Ice Heart's guardian, I will not permit my child to be put in a situation which I feel is dangerous." She let her gaze track down to all of them. Ditsy, recalling that Poussin's special talent was wielding authority, she had to admit she was good at using it. She could almost feel her head drooping in acquiescence to Vicerene's wishes. "Is that clear?" "Yes, Vicerene," said Trixie. "Very well. You have the run of the hotel, except for the West Wing. Ice Heart and his friends are staying there, and they do not wish to be disturbed tonight. My servants are at beck and call should you need anything." She inclined her head. "Have a good night, animals." When she walked down the hall and around the corner, the elements looked at each other for a silent moment. Then Raindrop said, "So, when are we breaking into the West Wing?" Charlie grinned, pressed a hoof under her barrel, and withdrew what looked to Ditsy like an intricate lock-picking kit. "I thought you'd never ask." Terror Top held up a hoof. Should we really be doing this? Poussin might be getting mad." "We're supposed to guard Ice Heart," said Trixie. "We can't do that if we don't know where he is. Besides, given all our other dealings with the court, if something weird is going on up there, I'd like to know sooner rather than later." Lyra grinned. "Come on, Carrot Top. It'll be an adventure." Carrot Top looked uncertain, but nodded. "All right." "Great!" said Trixie. "In that case, let's go." They soon reached the large ornate door, and Charlie began to work out the lock while the others stood guard. "I wonder why she doesn't want us to meet Ice Heart," mused Carrot Top. "Maybe something happened to him?" "Doubt it," said Raindrops. "She's got to know we'll be seeing him eventually. What are we going to do? Protect him from the Wendigo while blindfolded?" The element snickered at the image, and Raindrops herself cracked a smile before moving on. "We'll see him, and we'll know something's up." "Well, if she doesn't want him to get close to the Wendigo?" asked Lyra. "Poussin could say she doesn't feel it's safe. Then we never have to guard him from anything." Tracy shook her head. "I'm not exactly her biggest fan, but she didn't get to where she is by being stupid. We're watching Poussin's every move, and she knows it, along with the fact that we have the right to petition Luna directly. If she throws negotiations on purpose, she knows we can report her, and that's bye-bye to all the titles she's fond of." The Illusionist scowled. Seriously, I got 96 of her 97 titles correct! Who cares if I missed one? Well, to be fair, it's a completely meaningless title that she's probably only bought by dumping a train full of money on Phaedric, said Shirley. If you forget it, it's like saying that she shouldn't have spent all those bits on a fancy tile. Perish the thought, drawled Raindrops. Ditsy rubbed her chin with a hoof. Keeping Ice Heart hidden from them didn't make any sense, for the reasons Trixie and Raindrops enumerated. But that wasn't true for everyone Poussant had brought. Love is not Ice Heart she doesn't want us to see. Love is the friends. We don't know they'd be here, right? Maybe she wanted to keep them secret? Then why did she bring them? Asked Trixie. Why did she tell us? Asked Raindrops. I don't know, said Shirley, but I think we should find out. The lock clicked open, and the door swung back out with a loud creak. Shall we? You know, I know how lockpicking worked in Fallout Equestria. Because Little Pip had a screwdriver and could put one of her teeth into there with the bobby pin. That I get. But how does lockpicking work with Earth Pony hose and a mouth? I mean, maybe it's just because I've watched enough Fox Machina, my mind's thinking about it. The hallway in the west wing was better lit than the elements that walked through, and Dizzy could feel herself relaxing at the better atmosphere. Even the moldings on the wall, which were low, tightly packed against each other, and seemed almost to be brooding, felt a little more pleasant. She was about to tell her friends how much nicer things felt when she heard a loud splash from the hall. She hurried towards it, and her friends by her side, and they hurried in, to a large indoor pool. The room itself had just as many little designs as the banquet hall, even the patterns on the floor tiles flowing into one another in vaguely geometric shapes. But the roaring fire in the hearth to one side, plus the clean, out-of-door nature of the pool, helped to elevate the cloying weight of the intricate artistry along the walls. Furthermore, while 3 of the walls were covered in moldings similar to those he had already seen, the 4th was a large sheet of glass, which looked over the steps. The hotel was built at the very edge of town, with nothing but miles and miles of driving snow between them and the equestrian border. It was one of the purest, most beautiful scenes untouched in nature Ditsy had ever seen. She lived in the town next to the Everfree. Ditsy heard another splash, and looked down to see 2 ponies in the pool. Neither seemed to have noticed them. The first was a mare with an emerald green coat, who sat on what looked like a throne made out entirely of water. Her back was to them, but based on her regular stature as she reclined in her throne, and the sharp, competent tone of her voice as she talked to her companion, reminded Ditsy of Rarity. The other pony had a yellow coat and a thick, muscular build, perhaps not as big as Magnetos, but close to it. He seemed content to massage one of the other ponies' forelegs with his hooves, avoiding the throne itself, and listen. The elements looked at each other in a moment. Tracy shrugged and walked forwards. "Excuse me," she called. "We're the elements of harmony. Are you Ice Heart's friends?" Both ponies swiveled, the green one almost falling out of her throne before the yellow dashed forwards and caught her. As she recovered, her bottom half left the wire, and Ditsy's eyes widened. She didn't have back legs at all, but rather a tail. "Like those sea ponies we saw in Atlantis," she thought. "I didn't know any lived within equestrian borders." "What are you doing here?" asked the green pony, thinking suspicion in her voice. Behind her, the throne began to dissolve. "This is a private conversation." "No, but..." She took another step forwards, but the yellow pony moved between them, and held a hoof in a universal gesture to stop. "Look, we just want to say hello. My name is Trixie Moon, element of magic, and these are my friends, the other elements of harmony. We're all up here, facing Wendigo together, so we might want to introduce ourselves." "I see no reason for that," sniffed the pony. "I used to be a princess, you know, and..." "We're honored to meet you," interjected Ditsy. She fixed a kind smile on her face and added, "We'd just like to say hello for a few minutes. Would that be alright?" The earth pony glanced at Ditsy, blinked, then leaned over to the sea pony and whispered in her ear. She paused and seated herself on a bit of wire, while she levitated until she could see the whole group. I see, she said, her gaze lost onto Ditsy's. Of course, you're there in the green coat. Who are you? Ditsy you, Meowmere. Very nice to meet you, Ditsy, said the sea pony. And those other ponies are friends of yours? Ditsy nodded. My best friends, she said. Well, the sea pony glanced at the earth pony and nodded. That's all right then. Feisty Puissance really did find the perfect bodyguards for the Ice Heart, didn't she?
Yep,
said the earth pony. Green Mare turned back to the knights. Please come in. The water is excellent. Feisty Puissance have one of her mazes entitled to the absolute perfect habitat. Trixie, Carrot Top, and Raindrop stared in confusion, but Ditsy smiled. Kindness always works. Thank you. What are your names? You may call me Stream Dreams. This is Bones, said the sea pony. She lowered her wire spout down as the elements approached, so that she was sitting slightly above the wire, at their eye level. And if you don't mind me saying, Mr. Yes, you have beautiful eyes. Ditsy froze for a moment, keeping a Stream Deans. She at once gained to the various other ponies who had obviously marked her for Strombosis. But the sea pony didn't sound malicious or cruel. She sounded sincere, and when she met Ditsy's wall-eyed gaze, she did it without flinching. Kind of like the other ponies cast upon the runway models, she meant it. While Ditsy was working out her reaction to that, Trixie interjected, "Oh, we don't mean to disturb you. We were just wondering where Ice Heart was." "Oh, he's around here in the wing. You might want to try the kitchen. He has quite a steam tooth." Stream Dreams added, "Like Bennyfels, I suppose." "How did you meet him?" asked Shirley. "You could say we live in the same neighborhood. Bones, myself, and some others."
Bones sighed. Yep.
Raindrop's frowned. "How did that happen?" "I think Puissance has a knack, you could say, for helping certain ponies find friends," says Stream Dream. "When I first came to Equestria myself, I didn't know any pony. But the Vice Dreams, he found me and helped me find some great ponies to live with, like little Ice Heart, or my big strong stallion." She leaned over and smoothed Bones, and the yellow pony blushed red. "Like her many gifts." Trixie was kneeling closer to the wire. Ditsy meanwhile said, "Many gifts?" "She's one of the most generous males I know. For example, did you see how big this swimming pool is? Well, the Vice Queen, I knew I wasn't happy on Dry None, so she arranged to have even one larger than this instead at my residence. And then she provided the finest seaweed it kept, harvested every day, and all the fresh juicy I could want." Sweet Dream licked her lips. "An excellent mare."
Yep,
added Bones. Ditsy frowned and made a mental note to ask Shirley what sushi was later. "She sounds very kind," she said aloud. "She is." Stream Dream reached up and waved to caress Bones' neck. He gave a deep sigh, till the wave fell apart after a few moments. Stream Dream shook her head and turned to the elements. "I see, Trixie. If you're the element of magic, perhaps you have some advice for me. I would love to use my magic to make Bones as happy as he makes me, but since he's immune, that is difficult. Do you know of a solution?" "Immune?" Trixie's eyes widened. "Oh, you mean he's a no pony?" "No pony?" That's Carrot Top. "Earth ponies who are immune to magic," said Shirley. "Very rare, but not unheard of." "Exactly," said Stream Dream. "If I wanted to warm him up on a cold night, for example, I couldn't simply heat the water in his body as I could with any pony else. I can't even bring him along with me as I move about. My water sculptures collapse as soon as they touch him." She looked at Ditsy. "Not my kind of thing we talk about often, but well, you're obviously trustworthy, Trixie. If you come up with any ideas, you'll let us know, won't you?" Trixie looked at the other elements and mouthed the word trustworthy, but neither Ditsy and the others seemed to have an answer for her. "I'll think about it tonight," Elizabeth said at last. "But, in the meantime, we should go find Ice Heart. Kitchen, you said." "Yes, now he excuse us." She turned back to Bones. Ditsy opened her mouth to ask why Stream Dream, and looked at her before declaring Trixie trustworthy, but then closed it, unsure what to say. She then turned and followed her friends as they continued to Puissance's wing at the hotel. "Trouble! I sense trouble!"